3. This will be the July 19th, 2017 City Council regular meeting.
By sound? Sounds like it. Sure sounded like it. Everybody? Yep. Ready.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of City Council of Satellite Beach, July 19th, 2017, approximately 7 p.m. Please join Vice Mayor Osmer for a moment of silence in the pledge.
Just join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you, and the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3, citizens' comments for non-agenda items. Hearing none, we'll move on to city council comments.
I just added I went to the Florida League of Cities legislative meeting that they had last Friday. Sometimes, you know, the things you hear there, they're kind of scary. Listening to them talk about putting those communication boxes on poles and all those type of things, what they were talking about. And they gave a lot of good examples and showing pictures of all these boxes. The presenter was in different cities like Cleveland and everything else, and they were, I mean, literally showing them people coming out their front steps, and there's a pole and a box there. It was, you can understand why it was a big case. But there was a lot of talk there, got a lot of good information, so that was a very interesting meeting. That's all I have, Eric.
Great, thank you.
I have nothing.
Okay. The only thing I have is I'd like permission from the council to bring back a report to council concerning our city manager's plan. What's the right word here?
Benefit
Plan. When we first hired her, we really didn't consider that because she was new with us. But I think she's more than proven herself in the last 4 or 5 years. And what I'd like to do is just be able to present some different ideas so we can put that to rest, if that's okay.
Okay with me?
Okay.
Fine with me.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I have. Courtney?
Thank you, Mayor. We wanted to remind everyone that this Friday, we will have the Food Truck Friday at the David R. Schechter Center from 5 to 9. And also at 6 o'clock, we will be having our Relay for Life Community Bingo Night. And that's a new event that we're doing to raise money. Julie Finch, my assistant, is now the Relay for Life coordinator for the city. And so we'll probably be going to a lot of events this year for Relay for Life. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Courtney, on that, if you don't mind me interrupting, I think I saw that Electric Rides is also have an event that night also for people who want to go out and try out their stuff, since the trucks and all that stuff was going on.
On the food truck.
Yeah, they're doing it all at the same time, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I got an invite and everything from them for that
We're
going
going
on
to
at
put that on Facebook too, I think.
the same time. That was nice.
And then also Saturday, we have the annual blood drive for Raj S. Shah, his memorial blood drive that's done by Joanne Reagan, Saturday, July 22nd from 8 to 5, and that's at First Wave Financial. And you don't really have to make an appointment or anything. You can just show up and donate blood. We received a thank you note for Bud Mayer, thanking the police department, Administrative Assistant Linda Harlow, and the Satellite Beach Police Department for caring so much for him and his wife. And we also received a thank you note from Robert Kerrigan, thanking Public Works Director Alan Potter and his staff for doing a good job on replacing a drain on Ocean Street. We received a thank you note from Joe Green, thanking Code Enforcement B&Z Coordinator Kelly Porter for handling a code violation complaint with excellent response time. And we also received a thank you note from Ann Latora, thanking Police Officer Donald Trebell for his compassion and professional service to their family. As part of our efforts, and I have 2 action items actually, or before I get into that, I want to talk about the policy committee real quick. We had we put on Facebook notice to the community about the wireless communication bill, which basically handed out right-of-ways to the wireless communications industry, and requires us to provide a permit within 60 days and so on. And what we did was, just kind of outline that bill and just tell people about it. And one of our residents put on Facebook that he used to be an engineer for the wireless communications industry, and that he would be glad to come and show us what these things look like, what they're for, how they're installed, what we could expect when they come in to talk to us to permit. And it was incredibly informative. So we were asking him to meet with our Public Managers Association and do the same presentation in all of their permitting staff. And after we get done with that, we were thinking we would have a workshop at the League of Cities. Anybody that's interested in seeing the pictures that the League gave us, while they could look like that, they're more likely to look like boxes, small boxes attached to our light poles. But the questions are, that we went through were, if we objected to a location based on safety concerns, but the law requires us to provide the permit, they automatically permit within 60 days regardless of whether we provide the permit anyway.
Right.
And that somebody runs into it, for example, who holds that liability? Because we permitted it, but because we had to, we were basically forced to. And then the questions like, if they're attached to our light pole, how do you split the electricity? And who pays for the light, and you'd have to run separate conduits, and who does all that? And how would that be, worked through with the cities, and could we work those through and hold them off before we do a road project, stuff like that. So those were the questions that we were
I think they
asked.
showed some of the stuff where some cities actually, they worked with them to a point. One of the cities showed where they got all new LED streetlights
Right.
to work with the company to get the boxes put on there. So they got some kind of compensation. They
get
say
stuff out of
you
that.
can't stop them from going on there, but you can dictate basically what it's going to look like and all that type of stuff. But the downside, what they said is, if for some reason that pole has to move out of that right of way,
We have to pay for that.
we have to pay for it to move the box.
That was
to
my
go with it.
biggest problem with that bill, was that because the utility companies have been trying to make us pay for their utility relocations forever. And that is basically the foot in the door for
Right.
that to happen.
And FPL said you can't put them on any of their poles.
Right.
So FPL somehow got away from that. They can't put them on any FPL
So
poles.
they just add holes.
AT&T poles, and there's what we learned.
Right.
In FPL poles.
And FPL said they cannot put those boxes on their poles, and there is, I guess, a couple carve-outs,
Most of ours are.
exceptions to that. That's one of the things that they talked about.
So there's a lot of pluses for this, though, because it is for the 5G network, and especially in areas like ours where we don't have a lot of towers, that it would definitely increase our service, here. But the bill is structured so that we don't have a lot of, power on our side on the negotiation table.
And I think the downside, they said, with 5G service, it doesn't go very far. So literally, they were saying they're basically putting one on every block down the
They
street.
do have to do that, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like you can, like a cell tower, you can put one up and it'll cover a quarter of the city. This covers like the range of one city block, and that's it. So they literally got to put one on
But they're
every
moving to
block.
that type of infrastructure largely
Yeah.
because of the problem siting towers and how
Yeah.
hard that is. Yeah. Anyway, so as part of my action items, as part of our efforts to assist in gaining a commercial mixed-use component at the former base housing redevelopment site, and you've heard a lot in the news about the relocations of that, and to also assist us in general lobbying needs, I'm recommending that we retain the services of Smith & Associates, and I'm recommending that we establish an initial budget of $5,000, which is basically the first retainer. And if we do need to go further than that, we come back to council and ask you for that and give you an update of what we've gotten so far out of that. So that would basically give us somebody to go out and do the analysis for us and make sure that what we're asking for is financially feasible and market-wise.
I'll make a motion to recommend an initial budget of $5,000 to obtain further services from Smith and Associates and recommending approval of a letter of agreement.
There's a motion by Councilman Montanaro, second by Vice Mayor Osmer. Further discussion from council? Hearing none at this time, since it's an action item, open up for public comment. Hearing none, back to council. Hearing none, Lenore?
Vice Mayor Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor King?
Yes.
And yeah, I have just one more. We have the League of Cities annual conference coming up, the legislative conference, and that's in August. At that conference, the league votes for their next board positions, and we need a voting member there, and that happens on Saturday. And I know that you usually leave on Friday, and we need a voting member there, so we were recommending to designate Dominic.
That's perfectly all right. We just consensus on that?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
thank
good.
you.
I think all we probably need to do is make sure that the League of Cities knows.
We'll send them a notice, and, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Great.
One thing, Courtney, did we ever pick the date for our ethics training?
Yes.
Yes.
And could someone please remind me? I apologize.
August 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, August 1st, at 12:30 at the Beach Clubhouse.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
And it's 4 hours long. Every year. And the state doesn't do this, do they?
No,
August
of course
right.
not.
Just making sure.
August 1st.
August 1st.
Notice that?
They're very ethical. They don't need it.
12?
12 to 4.
12:30.
Oh, I think it says 12.
Okay.
So I just want to emphasize that the state of Florida does not go to ethics training like we do. They're not required to. They're not required to abide by sunshine law either.
All right.
Yes,
Okay. Any further items, Courtney?
that's it.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 6. Remember, we got our packet presented to us for proposed budget, and that is July 27th, as normal, at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 7, and please look over it, is there anything else there? But, oh, I'm sorry, I got 2 here. My page is stuck together. Then there's also our regular meeting, August 2nd. Could you please look over that agenda? If there's anything else you would like to see or questions, please give us a report. And moving on to item 7, the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 21st regular meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Osmer, second by Councilman Montanaro. Further discussion? Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Osmer?
Yes.
Mayor King?
Yes, motion passes. Any further business before council? Hearing none? Meeting adjourned.